This is the only way that I would drive my Ferrari. I don't know if that was intentional or by accident that it said Hazel Eyes, because yeah, I'm pretty sure nobody was actually looking at her eyes. My eyes are down here. Gotta love TikTok, right? And we have to do the check. We have to do the check for sure. And no surprise here. Well, what do we have here? Just a little bit of a thirst trap. And of course the link tree that takes you elsewhere. This is a business, y'all. It's a business for 18 and up. It's a business for 18 and up.
These are the 4 most important wife duties. Number 1 is the most obvious one. Every wife must have sex with her husband. And I know a lot of women will tell me if I don't feel like it, I just don't want to do it. But here's the thing with men. Men need sex more than women do. It's in their...
I disagree with that one. I'm not saying that men don't, but I do think women do.
Nature. When a man is in a serious relationship, for him, sex is a way to connect. If a wife keeps denying her husband in bed, it doesn't just damage the bond they have, but it also hurts his ego, because he will...
I don't know about just hurting the ego, but a constant denial in bed will then ultimately force that need to be satisfied in some other way. I mean, as a wife, as a human being, as a person, if we just look at it from the simple basic element of human satisfaction and or need, if you go and you're hungry and there's no food, well, what are you going to do? You're going to go somewhere where there is. It's basic human nature.
Feel that he's not good enough for her. The second wife duty is to accept her husband for who he is. This is one of the most difficult things for any wife, because very often a woman marries a man of whom she sees the potential, so she expects him to live up to that potential. But if he doesn't, she gets disappointed, and that's when...
I don't know. I think some women are quite possibly delusional in this reasoning, and therefore make a purchase or engage in this relationship with a false sense of reality or a lack of clear identity of what they're getting themselves into, and quite possibly going into this thinking from the start that, yeah, maybe I can change this. Maybe I can make this and manipulate him into being whoever I want him to be.
A woman starts to try to change her man so that he will become that man she thought she married. The third wife duty is to appreciate everything he does for you. Because when you as a wife appreciate what he does for you, he will be inspired to do more for you. Because every husband wants to please his wife. And what many wives don't...
Okay, I really do appreciate this woman's, but I'm sure folks, perhaps maybe her husband appreciates just how much work she put into her facial appearance and everything there. Okay, I really do appreciate this woman's effort here to try and entice men to watch her content, or maybe women. I don't think women are buying it. Maybe they are. Again, this is all a business, folks. Create a product that your target market will buy, okay? That they will consume. Now, I'm not entirely sure who this is targeted at exactly, for a variety of reasons. But let me get a second opinion on this one. Let me get a real woman's perspective on this one. see what she has to say about this.
So you sent me a TikTok and you asked me to watch it, and you said, what do you think of this? Or who is this targeted towards? And I said, it's targeted towards men who like people like Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate and things like that. Telling a woman she has to sleep with a man even if she doesn't want to in order to keep him happy, that's not something I would ever want to instill in my daughter.
That's wife. She said wife duties.
It doesn't matter. It still comes down to the principle of you're telling a woman that in order to keep a man happy, she must have sex with him when he wants. Doesn't matter if it's wife or girlfriend, in my opinion. You're telling a woman that her body is not hers, that it's on the schedule of whatever the man wants. I'm not okay with that. Then telling a woman that a man never has to change and she should be okay with who he is. I mean, in theory, you should marry a person because you love who they are 100% and you don't want to change them. So that's where I am technically. But for her to say that, let's say something changes and the man becomes abusive, becomes an alcoholic, becomes lazy, becomes whatever else, for her to say you have to accept him always and never try to change him, which I hear, or even help him, because that's what that comes down to, is stupid in my opinion, because everything could deteriorate from there. I don't agree with her points of view, and I could say it's because she's older and from a different generation, but even I feel like mentally I'm more of like a 50s housewife most of the time, because I want to cook for you, I want to clean for you, I want to take care of you, I fix your plates and everything else, because I feel like as a wife that's what I want to do, not what I should do. Every marriage is going to be different, but for her to sit there and tell a woman that basically what it comes across is saying, like, if you're a wife, that's all you are, is a man's piece of property. You are no longer a woman. You're no longer yourself.
But you say sit there and tell a woman.
Uh-huh.
So you're assuming that women actually would watch her content?
No, unless it was sent to them.
Is she expecting women to watch her content?
No, she's aimed at men who have low self-esteem and are mad that their wives aren't basically on a leash that they would like them on.
Or quite possibly painting this fictitious picture of what a marriage and a wife should look like as they are seeking them on these dating apps.
Well, there's two ways to look at this. But also stuff like that really does enforce or push more women towards a feminism or feminist route and towards well then why should I get married right now? Because then there goes, me being able to say no to sex when I don't want to, or me being able to make my own decisions kind of thing. So I feel like it's a double-edged sword, but it's designed that way.
So how would that work in a dual female relationship, in a lesbian relationship?
Depends on which one of them considers themselves the man.
But at the end of the day, let's be honest, let's be real. Not all men, not every man, not every husband really wants to do these things for their wives. Let's just be 100% honest and real. Like this blanket broad statement is in essence misinformation or disinformation. I don't want to say it's a lie, but it's not entirely true, because not every marriage, not every relationship is sunshine and rainbows.
Get is that the husband also needs appreciation, even for the small things he does for her, like washing the car. And the fourth wife duty is to always make him feel.
Is she trying to get her husband to wash her car? Is this an elaborate scheme and trick to get her, like, just take it to the car wash? It's like $6.99.
That he's the leader in a relationship. Every man wants to believe that they're their woman's hero. When you show him that you trust him to take on the responsibility of the relationship, you actually make him want to work for it. These are the four most important wife.
Are these the four most important wife duties? I don't know. I'll let you guys be the judge of that.
People who stay at jobs for longer than 2 years make essentially 50% less their entire lifetime. So my thing is like, you need to be either up or out every 2 years.
Up or out every 2 years. That's a good one. That's a good one. Up or out every 2 years. I was watching some YouTuber, some creator, and he had put together this timeline of YouTube and the changes that he's noticed, and the changes occurred every roughly 2 to 3 years. it was really interesting how the algorithm, or in essence the people, the audience, would change in regard to what would interest them and entice them into watching and engaging in these videos. So when she says that you need to be upgrading, you need to be changing every 2 years in your business, in your career, in your employment, well, does that not mean YouTube as well? I mean, you got to think about it. How many niche content categories can exist and stay relevant for 2 years or more without change before the content becomes monotonous and repetitive and, in essence, boring and less likely to be attractive to an audience?
2 years, you need to be getting a 10 to 15% promotion at a minimum every 2 years. Otherwise, you need to leave.
If you're not getting 10 to 15% in a promotion every 2 years, you need to leave. Now, this is an interesting one, because most jobs, most careers, most people will say that they're not going to get 10 to 15% increases. They're not. They're looking at performance reviews and evaluations that would likely only produce 2 to 3%. And let's put an asterisk on COVID pandemic year returning back to normal and the recovery, post-pandemic recovery, Bidenomics here, and let's put an asterisk on that, okay? But even before that, come on guys, 10 to 15% every 2 years, that's like, all right, let's think about it. If you made $20 an hour, that means in 2 years, you should be making $22 to $23 an hour, which could possibly happen. But again, this happening right now is primarily pushed and driven by such a crazy spike in inflation. And now we've seen the minimum wage rise. So that to me isn't an increase. That is a cost of living adjustment, basically. And you know, we're not all on fixed income, Social Security, or anything like that. But I look at that as cost of living adjustment and not an actual raise or an increase like that. So if we put an asterisk on this COVID year, this post-pandemic recovery, then yeah. Would you see your job paying you $2 to $3 more per hour, going from $20 an hour to $22, $23 in just 2 years? Now, with that, do you see them paying you $25, $26, $27, $28 2 years after that? Because essentially, this compounded interest, this compounded increase, this marginalized, margin-based increase based on percentages makes each increase more than the last. That percentage is huge. If you say, all right, every year I want to earn another $1, that's one thing. But if you say every year I want to earn another 10%, well, that makes the numbers climb drastically, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. And in fact, has to be done in essence, really, because of what we have seen here recently. But that's if you made $20 an hour. What if you made $100,000 a year? So now that means in 2 years, you need to be making 110, 115, right? Do you see that happening? Do you see that happening in whatever career, whatever job that you have?
Go somewhere that's going to pay you. Because if you're not doing that, you're going to be making less. And people are like, well, the job market's bad, and like, you know, it's not the great resignation anymore. I agree, I concur. It's not as easy as it was 2-3 years ago. But we have to take a long, hard look at ourselves and be like, am I actually doing a good job? Do I deserve a raise?
Am I actually doing a good job? Do I deserve a raise? You know, what do you bring to the table? The work that you do. Obviously, for the employer to keep you and pay you, you need to be bringing in more, substantially more in return than what they're paying you to do the job. So what does that look like? Okay, what does that look like? Are they paying you $100,000 a year and you're bringing them $200,000 a year or more? That's really the big question. Because even if you're doing a good job, but the job that you do doesn't bring your employer, your company, your boss, or whomever a substantial return on what they pay you, then it's mathematically impossible for them to pay you more. And or if they did, whether they wanted to or not, that would further compromise the business and hinder its ability to operate. All for the fact that, yeah, you've been doing a good job, but we don't make a lot of money here. You know, if you worked at, you know, a fast food restaurant, they probably make good money over there. But if you work somewhere where they're not turning huge numbers, huge margins, and they're just barely getting by, looking to make maybe a 5% net return on their investment, net profit every year, then there's really no way that would be financially, mathematically, economically possible.
Because the best people, the smartest people, the people who perform the best and have the best results and, you know, make sure their boss knows that they're doing a good job, they tell people what they're going to do, they do it, and then they tell everyone how they did it, those people are going to get paid every year, and they always have since the dawn of time. The people who stay at jobs.
I appreciate her enthusiasm. It's great motivating words, but there's some context missing there that I think is really important, and I think that we should further discuss.
I can tell you my problems, meditating my silence, but I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go fire.